Hello Internet, I am the hero of Julios once again with another One Piece chapter summary. This is the first chapter of 2022, and if you look behind me, you'll see I've changed a few things in the background here. If you didn't watch my One Piece Dungeons and Dragons videos, the videos I did for D in December, then you wouldn't see the part where I changed all the background. But regardless, new stuff. Feel free to peek during the upcoming videos to see what background stuff I put in there, little Easter eggs and whatnot. But let's get into the actual chapter itself. This week's chapter is chapter 1036, Bushido is the Way of Death. The art is just this nice little color spread of the Straw Hats in a winter setting. It's just nice little coats on them and stuff. You can see a couple of the members of the crew have their respective numbers on them, and it's always a pleasure to see Jinbei, now finally a member of the Straw Hat crew, with a big number 10 on his shoulder, so you know he's locked in. He's number 10. He's the helmsman. And hopefully that means he's going to be here to stay and not die dramatically in Wano. Because someone might. I don't know. That's just a theory that I and many others have bouncing around there. But let's get into the actual chapter itself. So the chapter starts off with Zoro defeating King, and it's just like Sanji where the chapter started where Sanji defeated Queen, only this time we have King with a little bit of a flashback thinking to how he promised to Kaido that he would never lose. At the same time, Zoro is reminiscing about the day he promised to Luffy that he would never lose again after being defeated by Mihawk. I really like this parallel because it shows just how loyal these two are to their respective captains and how willing both of them are to lay down their lives for their captain's dreams. Unfortunately for King, Zoro was just a little more willing to lay down and fight a little bit harder. It was a pretty close match, though, if you really consider the differences in power here. And, well, if you take a look at the end of the chapter, you can see a few panels where Zoro and Sanji are both just unconscious. So, if nothing else, the Straw Hats are still not out of the woods yet. In the case of Zoro and Sanji, this is very much like the end of Enies Lobby, where Luffy was at his physical limit to the point of not being able to move. So I'm very interested to see, once Luffy and Kaido's fight is over, exactly what's going to happen and what the Straw Hat crew is going to do. On the note of flashbacks, I noticed that Queen did not get a flashback of his own. So I'm thinking maybe once we finally meet Vegapunk, that's when we'll get a flashback involving Queen and how he met Kaido and how Mads, got separated. And that's probably why we didn't see anything about Queen when Sanji was fighting him. That it was more about Sanji's inner struggle with the raid suit than it was about Queen's past, whereas in Zoro's fight, it was about both contenders equally. After the fight, we see one of the Marys spreading the word and CP0 subsequently finding out that King has been defeated, and with that, all the calamities and the Tobi Roppo have all been taken out. CP0 doesn't seem to be that upset about it because in the immediate next panel, Big Mom and Kaido are still up. We see a panel of Big Mom fighting Kid and Law, and while that's the only thing we get to see, we know that Law and Kid are still in a bit of a pickle. They're still on their last legs because they just used their awakenings that they both said leaves them in a weakened state. Not exactly sure how they're going to get themselves out of this one, but personally, if you want my opinion on it, which you would, you're watching this video, I don't think Big Mom is going to lose this fight. Mind you, I don't think Kid and Law are going to lose this fight either, but I think when Luffy's fight at the top of Onigashima is over, the results of that are going to force this fight to go their separate ways. I don't think this is the end for Big Mom. This arc is definitely more about Kaido and how Kaido gets defeated. I think Big Mom is going to be an ongoing threat, and Kaido is the hard stop point here. After CP0's done talking, we get a few cutaways in this chapter. One of Momonosuke still trying to take command of Kaido's clouds, allowing him to be the one to control the direction that Onigashima goes. Because even if Luffy does defeat Kaido, unless someone else is controlling these flame clouds, it's going to drop. And then it's going to explode. Which could be prevented because we see in another cutaway that Yamato has finally made it to the weapons vault. It's being guarded by another one of the numbers named Roki, that was his name, who immediately gets taken out by Fuga. So I don't know if... I still don't understand the relationship between Fuga and Yamato. I'm going to guess it's just that number really liked her, thought she was cool, but Yamato just tells Fuga to hold off Roki for her while she continues down the stairs. Then at the bottom of the stairs, we see down in the weapons vault, Komurasaki is still distracting Orochi. Why Komurasaki is down there, if it is Hiyori, or maybe it's some kind of illusion, I'm not exactly sure, but something is keeping... If it is her, she's keeping, but if it's something... Oh. I just thought about this, but if Kanjuro, whose giant flaming blob is currently heading down to the weapons vault to explode it, what if Kanjuro painted a fake Komurasaki? Because he doesn't know the truth about Hiyori, so he would only know her as Komurasaki, and he would only know that she is dead. What if he made a fake one? Because he's a huge method actor. Maybe his method acting is so strong that he is still dedicated to avenging Odin, on top of fulfilling his duty to Orochi. And he's just going to take them both out. And this is actually a fake Komurasaki. That's a little crazy, but it's not a terrible idea. I mean, Hiyori did say that she didn't want anyone to see her until the battle was over, so why would she be on Onigashima? Another cutaway, because there's a lot of, meanwhiles going on in this chapter, is Fukurokuju and Raizo currently have each other trapped in paralysis jutsu. The first one to die is going to be the one to lose because the fire is currently creeping in and both refuse to let go of their jutsu so that they both can get away. They're both just willing to die here. Raizo as a vassal of Odin, Fukurokuju as a guy who hates Raizo. I really don't understand his loyalty to Orochi, but I guess he really wants Orochi to win. While these all little things are going on, one of the biggest parts of this chapter is Kinemon and Kiku, who are both still on the ground, still dying, and Kaido's men are slowly creeping in on them. But Usopp is there, in basically melee combat, slinging shots left and right at them to try and protect the two of them. And while he does admit openly that he would love to just abandon the two of them and run away, Usopp does not agree with the samurai way of death. The, we have to die for our cause kind of thing. When Usopp says himself that even if he looks dishonorable, even if tears and snot are running down his face, he will always cling to life. And I think that's an important lesson. A lesson we've seen all the way back at the beginning of One Piece, down in the Baratier arc. Throwing away your life is not a way of repaying someone. It's not a way of helping. The dead can't do anything. So to hear Usopp, of all people, say, you can't run away. You can't just die and let the will of someone else live on. You have to fight. You have to cling to your life, is a really nice sentiment. And I think it shows Usopp growing, He admits he's scared, and that's perfectly fine. I'd be scared too. The building's on fire. I hate fire. I'm a grass-type Pokemon trainer. But you gotta stick around. You gotta stay. You gotta help. And these words are even confirmed by Izo, who jumps in saying, well said, and starts shooting up the joint, protecting them. Tells Usopp, hey, God Usopp, you gotta get going. And Usopp's like, oh, you know my name. That's so flattering. And he picks up the two of them and he starts getting out of there. All the while, Izo is holding off Kaido's men. Obviously, this isn't a big problem for one of Whitebeard's commanders, so Izo will catch up later. But it was a nice speech from Usopp, and I'm glad to see him getting a little bit of screen time because, well, Usopp didn't really get a real fight this arc, so it's nice to see him doing other things. Next up is Drake, who has been soundly defeated by CP0, as has one of the numbers who is also fighting. Apu and the number that was fighting alongside him are currently booking it. So Apu got away, Drake got caught, but given all the craziness going on in Onigashima, who knows if Drake's going to actually get caught or if Drake's going to manage to slip away when Luffy hits Kaido with something huge and it causes a massive earthquake and CP0's like, oh my gosh, what was that? And Drake just books it as well because he's a zone type devil fruit user. If the jailer beasts of Impel Down don't get knocked out, I really highly doubt one of the worst generation got knocked out that easily. Regardless, as CP0 is assessing the situation, realizing that, there's really only a few key players left in this war, the fate of the era is going to be determined in the next few minutes. Granted, this is One Piece, and the next few minutes could mean literally the next few minutes, or we could find out by the end of 2022, because we get 40 chapters a year. So, who knows? Personally, I think Onigashima, not all of Wano, but I think Onigashima is going to end by the end of this year. As for who comes out on top at the end of Onigashima, I think that's still to be determined. But the only real update we get on Luffy's fight, and mind you, we finally get an update on Luffy's fight, is Luffy and Kaido are both still duking it out. Luffy hasn't gone into Gear 4th yet, but the two of them are laughing. The two of them are smiling. The two of them are enjoying this fight, and maybe they're even enjoying each other's company. I don't know. But I think that's really cool. I'm glad to see that Luffy and Kaido flat out respect each other at this point. But it does raise a question in my head. If Kaido is truly enjoying his fight with Luffy, like a finally a worthy opponent kind of thing, did Kaido ever fight Roger? We know Big Mom is cheesed off at Roger for sneaking into her base, getting his hands on her poneglyph information, and making it to Laugh-Tale. We know Shanks never fought him, we know Blackbeard never fought him, and we know Whitebeard clashed with him many times. But aside from the God Valley incident, there's really no reports of Roger and Kaido duking it out. Roger might have even been executed before Kaido became a real name. I'd have to do a little more research on the times and all that, like the years and stuff, but from what I can tell, Luffy may be the real first, enjoyable opponent Kaido's ever had. I'm not going to say equal opponent, because obviously Shanks, Whitebeard, and Big Mom are real opponents for Kaido, but Luffy may be the first one where Kaido could actually, smile and enjoy the fight. And who knows, maybe Luffy will finally be that death Kaido is seeking. But that's really all we get to see this chapter, so let me know in the comments what you think of this, and whether or not you think Onigashima is going to end by the end of this year. Thank you for watching as always, and I will see you in the next video. This is the Hero of Julios, Xing out.